Death has no bias. Death does not care if you are rich, poor, good, or evil. Death comes for us all. Death feels nothing for the ones it takes, or at least, it didn't until now. Countless lives have been taken by death, but it finally took the wrong ones. Suor Clerici was a simple apprentice to Mario, a famous priest. She worked hard and held firm to her faith. Never having much in life, Suor was grateful for what she did have, and what she had was her mother and her father. When the reckoning began, Mario had to leave. Suor wanted to join him, but she was not ready. Suor and her family went into hiding, as many did. Unfortunately, their faith could only protect them for so long. Creatures, unaffected by their spiritual words and holy water, broke through and began slaughtering all in their path. Suor's mother and father were no exception. She watched as they were picked apart by monstrous creatures. Suor could do nothing to save them. When everything went silent, and Suor had to watch her parents draw and exhale their final breath, she saw something brooding above them both. It was difficult to see, but the more she concentrated, the more she could make it out. After rubbing her eyes violently, she could see a red-cloaked skeletal figure with a massive, terrifying scythe. The sight of this being made her sick to her stomach. It was unnatural. She watched as the being seemed to draw the last bits of life from her parents' bodies. Suor screamed as loud as she could and tossed her last vial of holy water. It simply passed through the cloaked figure and smashed against the floor on the other side of it. The being looked in her direction for a moment, sniffed at the air, and then turned and faded away. Suor rushed to her parents' lifeless bodies. She closed her eyes and tried to picture the being she saw take her parents' life, and she tried to burn that image into her mind so that she would never forget. In that moment, she swore she would get revenge and kill that gruesome being. She would kill death. Years would go by in her search for a way to defeat death. Day in and day out, month after month, she spent her time in the inlaid library, reading anything she could, looking for a hint of how to defeat death. Over those months, Suor had also taken part in her fair share of fights against the demon menace. Soon after her losing her parents, she was able to find Mario, and he finished her training. Her expertise in crafting holy water was unmatched. During her studies, she came across rumors of a strange item, a legendary weapon so powerful it could freeze anything it was cast upon in place, an item called the Clock Lancet. Suor was sure that this was it. If she could obtain this item, she could defeat death. Another year would go by, and after battling thousands of demons and searching many ancient ruins, Suor discovered the Clock Lancet. Now, she only had to find death. This was the easy part. Suor returned to the library she spent so many years in, and lured the demon hordes with her. Kill after kill, Suor destroyed the horrible creatures till she lost count. After tens of thousands had been destroyed, everything suddenly went quiet. This was it. Death had been lured by another bringer of death besides itself. As before, Suor could see the faint image of death. Death was not happy by her actions. Faster than the eye could follow, Death dashed towards her, his scythe ready to end her life. It drew the scythe back, readying it for a powerful swing, when a powerful beam of energy blasted through it, freezing it completely in place. Death had been stopped, completely in its tracks. Suor walked up to face Death, seeing it clearer than ever before. She could see fear on its morbid face. Over the years, she had rehearsed what she would say to Death in this moment, how she would curse it for taking her parents' life. But in this moment, she just wanted it dead. Using every powerful weapon she had accumulated over the years, she began her assault. Suor used every magical spell and every enchanted weapon she had at her disposal. Clearly, It had an effect on Death, but it was much more powerful than she had assumed. But she wouldn't give up. Anytime Death would begin to break free, she would use the clock lancet once again, freezing it in place. As long as she had this weapon, Death was hers. Even if it took days, weeks, or months, she wouldn't give up until Death was dead. Several days went by. She was growing weak. She hadn't slept or eaten. Suor never relented her attack. Finally, Death began to falter. Cracks began to form in its skeletal features. It dropped its scythe to the ground, the weapon shattering into thousands of pieces. Lights began to pour out from the creature until it burst violently into dust. Suor breathed a sigh of relief and fell to the library floor. She had done it. She had got revenge on her parents' killer. She killed Death itself. Word spread of her deeds, granting her the title Suor Clerici, Death's Bane. Now, while Suor succeeded in defeating Death, this got the attention of more sinister beings. Such an act will not be forgotten, and Death has a way of coming back, even in ways more unnatural.